Okay, take four because I'm recovering from an inadvertent nap. And we're back to another movie review this time. That's right, it's some cinematic real talk. Yeah, I guess you could say REEL talk. And this movie has some meaning to it. It's a Bollywood movie, too. I haven't really watched that many Bollywood films, and I figured if I want to, veer into that on this podcast, well, I might as well start with something that's a little bit different, something that's, maybe a little bit deeper. So today we're diving into one of Bollywood's boldest satirical dramas, or so I've been led to believe. It's titled OMG, Oh My God. Yeah, that's actually the title. And yes, it's about a man who sues God, which is an interesting concept. So let's set the stage. It was released in 2012 and directed by Umesh Shukla. OMG is based on a play, which itself was inspired by the Australian film The Man Who Sued God, which I admittedly have not seen, and I probably should see it at some point. And I've even added it to my list of movies to check out in the future. But anyway, OMG was successful enough to spark remakes and sequels like Gopala Gopala, and even a sequel over a decade later titled OMG 2. So I've been told that it's a spiritual sequel, not, you know, a direct sequel. And by spiritual, I don't just mean a religious theme sequel, but, a sequel in spirit. I guess that ended up being sort of a double entendre unintentionally. But back to the original movie, because it's a fascinating cocktail of courtroom drama, religious satire, and spiritual philosophy. So, the basic plot, you can meet the main character named Kanji Mehta, played by Parish Ravel. He's an atheist who sells religious idols. Yeah, the irony of that is the point. One day, an earthquake hits and destroys his antique shop. He files an insurance claim, only to have it denied under an act of God clause. Basically, divine intervention is excluded from coverage. So, what does Kanji do? He sues God. Not symbolically, literally. He sends legal notices to heads of religious institutions, holding them responsible as representatives of the divine. So, kind of an interesting premise here. It's a little bit wild, but lawsuits like this actually have happened in real life. You have people like Betty Penrose, Ernie Chambers, and others who really tried to hold God or his agents accountable in a court of law. So I guess this is one of those things where, yeah, the basic premise is zany, but it actually happened in real life more than once. The film unfolds as a courtroom battle, but also a societal one, taking on organized religion, blind faith, and the commercialization of belief. Enter Akshay Kumar. He plays a modern motorbike riding version of Lord Krishna, calm, witty, and unbothered. He becomes Kanji's guide, not just through the legal mess, but through a spiritual awakening of sorts. So there are some basic themes to watch out for. You've got blind faith versus spirituality. The movie isn't anti religion, it's anti hypocrisy. It's about asking questions rather than blindly following rituals and texts. You've also got religion as businesses, or business as a theme, I should say. Think about this: in many places, temples operate sort of like corporations, or churches operate like corporations. Donations flow in, miracles are monetized, and power becomes concentrated. It's sort of like a divine economy. Religion, It's religions compete for money and followers and influence, and it's been a topic of parody for quite a long time. But this is a movie that does it in a somewhat different way. You've also got the themes of dogma, hypocrisy, and accountability here. Kanji's lawsuit becomes a cultural mirror. Who's responsible when faith is exploited? Can morality be separated from organized religion and belief? There's also, of course, the legal system versus the belief system. Of course, you could also say that the legal system is a system of belief in its own right. So it's a rare film that takes something as intangible as faith and throws it into a legal system built on facts. And it works. There's a horror movie that does sort of a similar thing, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, although that is, of course, more of a horror movie. This one isn't. But if you want to check a similar movie out in terms of taking religion into the courts to sort of analyze it, The Exorcism of Emily Rose would be an example of it. Even though that's a fictional movie, you know, it's it's still an interesting one. It's pretty well done. And it stars Jennifer Carpenter, who plays Deb on Dexter. She does a really great job in that movie. So that's a little bit of an aside, but if you want to sort of have a movie night with different movies that take God to court in manner of speaking, well, that's a possibility. There's another companion piece sort of experience for you here. So the success of OMG lies in how it balances comedy and critique. Most films shy away from religion, or worse, make it preachy. Well, I guess I shouldn't say most films shy away from religion. Uh, a lot of horror movies actually have religious themes or religious elements and spirituality or whatever you want to call it, like demons and angels or whatever, and souls. But this one's different. OMG says what others won't, but with humor, sharp writing, and a grounded performance from Paresh Raval. Kumar himself called it an eye opener, so much so that he launched his production house with this film. It was a pretty smart move because Krishna's character turned out to be one of his most beloved roles. And this movie has had a cultural impact. It has a pretty supportive audience. OMG wasn't just a hit, it was also a conversation starter. In a country where questioning religion can trigger outrage, this movie got people thinking, talking, and debating. And that's rare, where a movie actually achieves that. It also led to OMG 2, like I mentioned, which is a spiritual successor that tackled sex education within a religious context. Different topic, same gutsy approach. And I do intend to watch that one in the future. So here's the thing: comedy that dares to touch faith usually crashes in some way. People take religion literally and they take it seriously. But OMG pulled it off, and I don't think it offended as many people as it could have. It's it's not mocking belief, but challenging exploitation. It's a courtroom drama that puts God on trial, yet somehow doesn't feel blasphemous. And you could say that's the magic of this movie. You know, I'm not somebody who cares about blasphemy, but, you know, general audiences do. And this movie somehow brought people together more than it took them apart, I suppose you could say. So, thanks for listening to this review. If you liked this breakdown, even though I kind of fumbled a little bit with my language use, you can subscribe and drop a review or something like that. If you want a little bit of a comparison to OMG2 in the future, let me know. Again, I plan on watching that at some point. So maybe I'll do a special episode where I kind of compare them a little bit. So you can hit me up on that if you want to see me do that. And there might just be a part two. I'm probably going to review this sequel at another point. So until next time, keep questioning, keep watching, and keep your insurance policy fine print in check.